The head of Germany's Foreign Affairs Committee has called for Berlin and the EU to impose sanctions against Russia over its alleged war crimes in Syria. Peter Oliver has the details.
Well, the head of the Bundestag Foreign Affairs Committee has said that he wants to see more sanctions put in place against Russia for what he says as its actions in East Aleppo in Syria. Well, this, of course, is all despite the fact that Russia ceased airstrikes against Aleppo back in October and hasn't carried out any operations like that in that area since then. It hasn't stopped Mr. Norbert Röttgen, the head of this Foreign Affairs Committee, saying he wants to see more sanctions, that just because Russia is associated with the Assad regime, therefore they are guilty by association.
The EU must, at the very least, impose sanctions on the Russian henchmen responsible for atrocities. It's not acceptable that those responsible for war crimes fly to Munich or Paris to do their Christmas shopping while women and children are dying in Syria.
Well, this also comes around the same time as we've heard from the Foreign Ministry here in Berlin, saying that the suffering that had been caused to the people in East Aleppo was in part the blame of Assad's partners as well. More of that guilt by association. We've also heard from the head of the Foreign Intelligence Service here in Germany, Bruno Karl. He's the head of the BND, saying that ahead of the federal elections that will be taking place here in Germany next year, that he feared that Russian hackers could try and launch cyber attacks to influence the result.
Russian cyber attacks are taking place with no other motive than to cause political uncertainty. The perpetrators are mostly interested in delegitimizing the democratic process.
We are seeing that same blame game where all of the fingers end up being pointed at Moscow when it comes to Syria, when it comes to accusations of interfering in domestic elections. We heard all of these from the United States in the past. In the last 24 hours, we're starting to hear more of it now coming out of Germany.